The cloth slipped from my grip, yet I remained unmoved. Her brittle, echoing laughter resonated within the tiled laundry room, akin to mold. "You're fortunate I even allowed your touch," she remarked, as if I was a pariah at a raffle, as if years of catering, mending, concealing her blunders, and settling her debt entanglements were merely an insignificant offering she endured out of politeness. She turned, humming, casually chucking her blouse into the dryer as though nothing transpired. I simply observed her, neither agitated nor sad. Instead, a subtler, more acute sensation took hold. I delicately folded the final T-shirt, one from the state fair we attended prior to her veneers, before her Pilates instructor with the silly name, before she ceased inquiring about my day. I folded it with more attention than I'd shown her in months. Afterward, I neatly arranged it on the pile and departed. In the corridor, I heard her phone vibrate. A chuckle. Another message received. In another attempt at flattery from someone believed to be her, the exit strategy. Her tone shifted when she messaged, recently, airier, as if she had reverted to being 20. I once appreciated that inflection. Now it only stirred memories of how skillful deceivers relish their setup. As I walked past the hallway mirror, I paused to glance at myself. Perhaps I've wrinkled. Undeniably, I'm slower than I was at 40. Yet, I engineered devices that could etch titanium with precision down to a fraction of a human hair's width. I led a team of 20 men who dared not deviate from measurements. I wasn't a hapless figure seeking morsels of affection. However, in this house, I was a stand-in, and stand-ins don't contest. We comply. Pause momentarily. Our objective is to reach 10,000 subscribers, so press subscribe if you're liking these intriguing tales of deceit. Now let's resume the chaos. Hence, I descended the stairs, into my office. That drawer hadn't been disturbed in a while. Since finding an extra Tuesday dinner schedule on her iCloud synced calendar from Birchstone, unbilled to the brokerage account, I discovered. Hidden away within a drawer, inside a box I crafted post-retirement meant for cufflinks, but instead it offered insight. Upon opening it, nothing yet filled its emptiness. Not for long, though. With deliberate pace and no melodrama, I launched my laptop to continue the routine organizing, safeguarding, tidying up another's chaos. The folder remained intact, reserved for her smirk-provoking moments. First on the list were email printouts. My realtor friend Celeste had copied her on messages about leisurely weekends in Ridge Hill, strangely coinciding with her training retreats. Even a rental car receipt appeared, in Vanessa's name, adding a secondary driver, not me. Then the texts. 6 months ago, I synchronized her phone to our family iPad, and apparently she never noticed. Originally, I assumed it was just for watching Netflix in the spare room. A particular message caught my eye. "Can't wait to see you outside our shared intimacy. Lol." He responded with a thumbs up and a picture. It was him, bare-chested, reflected in a hotel bathroom mirror. The wallpaper reminded me of our last stay there. Once again, the Birchstone pattern. It's peculiar how deceit carries a specific odor. That place always reeked of lavender and despairing desperation. We returned later that night without makeup, both wearing the robe she donned when she wanted to play the doting wife. "You didn't say goodnight," she said, feigning concern. "I thought you were tired of my company," I responded, smiling. She blinked, momentarily taken aback. The moment faded. "You're being overly dramatic," she mumbled. I slowly nodded, acting nonchalant, a man who didn't mind being underestimated. Men like me, we don't need second chances. We need proof. The house was silent from 11:17 p.m. Vanessa had fallen asleep in bed, tablets sliding off her chest. Some property market podcasts were discussing trends that she didn't comprehend without her assistant clarifying them, causing her to twitch slightly in sleep. Perhaps a dream where she was still the prized individual she believed herself to be. Posting on Instagram from her compact beige Range Rover, glass of wine in hand. Echoes of forced laughter reverberating through empty houses for sale. I stood in the corridor, listening to her gentle snores and occasional dings from unread messages from the man she claimed was merely a contact in the industry for a few minutes. Then I retreated into the office. Dark, only the desk lamp illuminating, Just me and the box. I eased open the drawer. There it was, small, square, made of oak, edges smooth, hinges polished by my hands last spring. I had crafted it with the intention of gifting it to her for our anniversary. Ironically, back then I thought we still had one approaching. I set the box on the desk and opened it. Still void, but not for long. Not this night. To the left of my desk, my printer printed out. The initial emails emerged, messages from Celeste, forwarded flight details, Airbus not linked to our shared account. Vanessa always assumed I wouldn't scrutinize receipts. Perhaps she was right, but I examined patterns. People like her always leave traces. I arranged the emails in order of their dates. Timing is crucial when one intends to unsettle someone's feeling of security. After that, there were texts. I opened my iPad, the screen already activated. She never realized the backup sync was still enabled. To her, technology was just cables and chargers. In my view, it was ammunition. I didn't hasten. For years, she called me slow. You move like you're lagging. Once, she quipped this in front of friends. They laughed. I smiled because slowness isn't frailty. It's accuracy. I captured screenshots of the messages she had sent during property viewings, some with location tags still intact. I needed those for last night. She wrote in one, I need that tonight. 1:42 p.m., preparing for a speedy lunch prior to my departure. She mentioned being trapped in a meeting. The issue concerned was our deck repair contractor. I extended him beer, and he responded as if I were his father. I continued reading. Her tone towards him was saccharine, contrasting sharply with her current manner towards me. One message particularly sent shivers down my spine. He's amiable but uninteresting. A substitute. My life began late. Unengaging. A stand-in. My knuckles clenched on the desk edge. However, I didn't dwell on it for long. I exhaled, saved the files, and deposited them into the USB folder named June Justice. Secure. Backed up. Copied thrice. One flash drive. One online storage. One DVD burnable, concealed in my tool chest behind the supposedly broken caliper bracket she thought was junk. I also secured her car's GPS locks. Her new Lexus featured app-enabled tracking, a mistake she didn't disable regularly. 3 Tuesdays spent at a downtown condo. 12:42 and found me preparing, not out of wrath or vengeance, but to set the stage. The evidence-filled box wouldn't be ready tonight. It wasn't only about the accumulation of proof. It was about timing, atmosphere, a silence that would echo louder than any words ever could. The moment was approaching, and I was readying myself for it. For now, I closed the box and retired to bed. In the kitchen, she appeared as if no decay had touched her. Still in her satin robe, barefoot, her mascara smeared from last night's hasty wash-off. She fetched her expensive oat milk creamer, always claiming it purified her inside. I was seated at the table, sipping bitter coffee while watching steam rise like smoke signals from a life consumed by its own deceptions. You're quiet, she observed, yawning. Are you in a bad mood? You turned your head slowly, as if preparing for something. Not really, I replied, extending the pause. I'm just tired. She gave me a tight smile, one that seemed to suggest she had figured me out and found me uninteresting. Then she leaned against the counter, scrolling her phone, her thumb twitching and nails tapping on the screen. I have a big meeting at 10, a listing. She checked her watch. Should be back for dinner, though. Don't wait if I'm late. It's a big listing. I nodded. Good luck. She kissed the air near my forehead and left before I could respond. I waited for 20 minutes, long enough for her to believe I was in the garage organizing tools. Then I got into my truck and drove off, keeping a safe distance as I had been practicing. Observing her habits previously, I was aware of her patterns, shortcuts, and affected driving styles she believed made her look young. She stopped at a cafe in May, sipping a latte, then turned left on Aspen Boulevard, neither heading to the commercial lot nor the office. I parked a short distance away, hidden from view, much like my previous 2 encounters. That's when a red BMW appeared. Immaculate and seemingly unused for work, It didn't hold the usual business folders in the front seat. A man stepped out with a casual grin, not attempting to hide his non-business visit. Vanessa, with an enthusiasm not seen in 5 years, threw her arms around him, her lips wider still. They didn't kiss on the lips. Instead, she embraced him, not like a friend or lover, but as if reclaiming something freshly sold and ready for a second showing. I watched them laugh, his hand lingering on her back while she made no attempt to move away. I took a single picture, not several. Single photograph, then erased it. I had my required information. It wasn't for legal proceedings or arguments. It was for calibration for me, to verify that the man she called just a gym contact wasn't training her abs. He was replacing them. The truth was unsightly. Yet, its revelation felt clinical. I didn't feel anger. I felt release. It transitioned from theory to reality. She returned home around 6:40 p.m., stating the client was unreliable, blamed it on traffic and schedule confusion. Passing me on the couch, she seemed unbothered, as if she had completed a full workday honestly. I glanced at my crossword puzzle, asked about the listing. She responded with a smile, working on it. I nodded. Her fragrance still held the same citrus note she wore on our anniversary. Now, however, it exuded an air of finality. She was humming once more, that fake light-hearted tune she only used for joyful events like brunch with friends or discovering a designer bag on sale. Her deception surfaced as she lay in a false position. It escaped from her throat, spinning like a wind-whirled weather vane, directionless. Pretending to be carefree, but always steering clear of the truth. At tonight's networking dinner, she disclosed. 2 property brokers from Philadelphia were visiting. A necessary appearance was required. An important night. I inquired without looking up. She seemed engrossed in reorganizing the cupboard. Turning towards me, she adjusted her reflection in the hallway mirror, smoothing her hair. Not grand, she said. Just prospects. Prospects. I had heard her label things similarly before. New properties, personal trainers. The married dentist who sponsored her office holiday party and once complimented her as radiant. She chose a navy dress with a side zipper, heels that were too high for anyone with genuine work tasks, and makeup suggesting she wished to appear a decade younger, but only under soft lighting. You look good, I remarked neutrally. She smiled warmly. Thank you. Then she departed without inquiring about my plans for the evening. That was typical of her. As soon as her car departed the driveway, I shut the cabinet, moved to the office, and took a seat with a renewed determination that hadn't been felt in weeks. I fired up the laptop, inputted her old iCloud password, still Vanessa RE 2019, and allowed the syncing process to complete. She had been reckless. The folder was unencrypted, not renamed, and not even concealed, just out in the open like an exposed grenade with a label saying, "Pull me." The contents were videos. I selected 2 files, one labeled Rooftop, and another with a timestamp and no additional information. I played the first video. It was shaky, captured in low light, and the microphone picked up wind gusts occasionally. However, there she was, Vanessa, her hair tied back, engaged in loud conversation over cocktails at a high table. A man leaned towards her, identifiable as the one driving a red BMW, not appearing to network, but rather acting intimately reminiscent of a scene from an unworthy movie for both participants. The second video followed, with a darker screen and the camera positioned on a dresser facing the bed, adorned with hotel wallpaper, navy curtains, and a lamp illuminating the corner. Initially, no faces appeared, but voices were undeniable: Vanessa's low, breathless laughter and words that left me motionless. He persisted in believing I was attending that foolish meditation seminar, eliciting more laughter. Then came the sensation of skin and movement. I remained unmoved, neither rewinding nor fast-forwarding. Instead, I copied both files onto a USB drive labeled V-Choice weeks earlier. She had made her decision, and I was merely the archivist. The box still held remnants of lacquer and sawdust, a clean aroma contrasting with the contents I was about to add. The flash drive fit snugly in the velvet lining, seemingly insignificant, yet containing everything: her likeness, voice, and high-definition Betrayal. Tomorrow, the printed documents would join it, including the map with circled locations. Whether the USB drive gets labeled or not remains uncertain. The box was no longer empty, but now pulsed with life. A slumbering creature with fangs. I softly shut it, secured the latch, then retired for the night. Her night's events were unnecessary for me to inquire about. She would deceive, and I, allowing it. The dwelling bore an aroma of Prosecco and fabricated tales. Vanessa had been meticulously organizing this birthday as if it was a restart, a fresh beginning. She termed it her turning point year, as though she'd just exited a discovery phase instead of a bed that was off limits. Balloons adorned in gold and pink, 42 and flourishing. Written on paper napkins near a three-tiered cake she asserted was low sugar, yet it originated from the same bakery that inflated fondant as if it were a priceless drug. Her friends arrived successively, screaming, hugging, tipsy before even reaching the porch. Women who had not spoken to her in months suddenly materialized, refurbished and glamorous, all of them carrying small designer bags and addressing her with terms like babe in voices sharp enough to cut fruit. I performed the dutiful spouse role, poured drinks, grilled shrimp. She was mocked for preferring the Rolling Stones over Spotify-endorsed music, but she didn't mind. She expressed her feelings with a hearty laugh, adorned in white, and a cryptic smile that hinted at a hidden secret. The toast followed as she stood on the second step of the patio, her hand clutching a glass. Her speech was more profound than usual, echoing a TED Talk rather than a backyard gathering with a faulty fence. She spoke about growth, second chances, letting go of the past, moving forward, and being courageous. Her friends applauded, some even cheered, one of them tearfully exclaiming, "Who knows why?" Just as the cake was served, I handed her a card. She casually opened it, likely expecting a spa gift card or similar trifles. Inside, it simply read, "You're luckier than you think." She chuckled, commenting, quite cryptic, before asking, "What does that mean?" I returned a smile, replying, "It means exactly what it says." More laughter ensued. A person gave her a flute of rosy champagne. Then she spotted the box, small, wooden, polished, and elegant, nestled next to the cake as if it had long belonged there. No bells, no notes, just there, silent and genuine amidst the cacophony and artifice. For a fleeting moment she paused, her eyes narrowing slightly, a subtle change I noticed. The slight tremor behind her eyelashes hinted at something troubling her. She wasn't sure why it was there, but her instincts warned her against it. As she reached for the box, I placed my hand on its lid, halting her action. "Not yet," I murmured softly. Her gaze flickered to mine, and in a voice attempting humor she asked, "What's inside?" My shrug was casual, something genuine. This response unsettled her. It wasn't the words that made her nervous, but my calm demeanor, the lack of smirk, wink, or teasing. I simply stood there, leaving her uncertain on how to act. For the first time in weeks, laughter faded and her friend nudged her. "What's inside the box, Vanessa?" Vanessa responded with a thin smile, just Scott being enigmatic. Her attempt to conceal it failed as her hand hovered near its lid. She kept casting furtive glances at it, anticipating a secret message might be revealed before others. The rest of the night became a blur of drinks, selfies, and conversations. Women vented about their husbands while I distributed toothpicks and smiled, feigning ignorance of the recent change in our narrative. She didn't open it that night, but I caught her looking at it before she retired to bed, not with curiosity, but with wariness. The beginning of unease crept in, just like panic does, insidiously, akin to a splinter beneath the fingernail, unnoticeable until touched. A week post-party, Vanessa burst into the kitchen clad in her robe, disheveled hair and smudged mascara reminiscent of tearful selfies she'd usually save for dramatic effect. She slammed her laptop shut, then opened it again, slamming it shut a second time, hoping for a miracle. "Why on earth won't this thing let me in?" she growled, striking the keyboard angrily. "Did you mess with my laptop?" I was at the sink washing a cup, unmoved. Sluggishly, "No," I replied. "I require assistance. Yesterday, my password functioned flawlessly. Today, it denies validity." I dried my hands. "Perhaps someone intruded upon it." She hesitated, regarded me as if I'd spoken of a questionable matter. What do you imply? I meant, if your authentication details altered spontaneously. It appears another party gained access. She blinked slowly, then returned her gaze to the screen. No, it's likely just temporary malfunctions. Indeed, the dreaded syncing phenomenon. Her default excuse. By midday, she recognized her work email was also inaccessible. She couldn't log into the internal portal. Her calendar entries were absent. Via her brokerage-issued phone. Out of service. Deadline looming. She attributed it to the provider. Contacted customer service. They informed her that number had been deactivated 3 days prior by the designated account manager, that individual being her superior. Yet, her superior didn't execute it, not overtly, because 2 days previously, 3 board members received anonymous envelopes each, no sender, no message. A USB drive, a hotel check-in slip, and several images. Subtle, accurate, nothing explicit. However, incriminating. The rooftop bar video made her forced laughter evident. The hotel image, though blurry, clearly displayed her distinctive necklace. One she donned only to feel extravagant. And then there were the screenshots. Text messages with clients that coincided with corporate meetings. Time fraud, deception, a breach of professional ethics. An investigation was imminent, but discreet. They didn't confront her directly. That would be too conspicuous, too noisy. They allowed her to be uncomfortable instead. Her assistant ceased responding to messages. A long-term client requested a new assignment. Then the email arrived. In accordance with protocol, you are being subjected to an internal review regarding recent inconsistencies in your schedule. Vanessa didn't eat that evening. She tried to maintain normalcy, prepared her well-known grilled chicken, which was merely frozen breasts drenched in lemon pepper. I told her it was delicious. She scarcely tasted it. 11:30 p.m. saw her shattering, donning the bulky hoodie she reserved for fearful moments and attempting to minimize herself. Her hands quivered. "Someone seems to be intent on my destruction," she uttered, her voice faltering. They modified her login credentials. "I'm under investigation. I haven't done anything wrong. Scott." I didn't. Her vocal cords constricted at the final word. I rose, enfolded her in my embrace, consoled her. She wept into my shoulder as if I was still her sanctuary. I tenderly massaged her back. "It'll be all right," I comforted. She adhered to me. I permitted it because the nature of revenge isn't always apparent. Sometimes it's camouflaged as solace, and that's what terrified her the most. Her fear escalated with every doorbell ring. The mailman triggered the first panic, almost uprooting the ficus in his arrival. She was convinced someone was arriving to discuss matters. I didn't probe. Instead, I continued sipping my coffee while flipping idly through a catalog that held no interest. Then came the call. Upstairs, clearing out a drawer, I overheard her frantic voice from the kitchen, edgy and panicked, similar to a trapped animal. "David, what do you mean she saw it? How could she have?" No, I didn't send anything." She circled restlessly on the tile floor. I moved stealthily to the stair edge. Her voice quivered. "I don't know how. It wasn't labeled. No, I swear, I didn't record anything." Pause. Then, almost a murmur. "What will she do?" Another pause. Longer. "David, please. Just tell her it was old." It meant nothing. I returned to the office and closed the drawer. Later, she was in the dining room, fixated on her phone as if it had betrayed her. She didn't notice me. She didn't look up. Her fingers trembled, unsure, as if contemplating who else she could text without them already knowing. 2 hours passed before she made 3 consecutive calls. I only heard one side of each conversation. Each instance concluded identically, marked by stillness and a hollow, feigned, "all right." She employed that carefree tone when the sting of rejection dented her honor. By nightfall, she filled a glass with wine. An hour later, she topped it up again. That night, she churned with restlessness. I suspected she might float aloft. The subsequent day, she refrained from donning clothes. She lingered in the robe, drifting about the house like a bereaved widow devoid of an announcement. Her phone hummed around midday. She ignored it. Instead, she scrutinized her email on the tablet. She read the contents thrice, then merely sat there. After some time, she murmured she resigned. I looked at her. Who? My aide. She had emailed to announce her relocation to Denver. Instantaneously effective. I remained silent, simply continued sorting laundry, meticulously, pace by pace. The creases on the towels were perfectly aligned. Vanessa stood immobile for a considerable duration, her arms folded, lips pressed tightly together as if they held a secret at bay. That evening, she consumed a sleeping pill after many months. The following morning, I discovered her at the kitchen island, with her head on her arms, untouched tea nearby. I heated water, retrieved the tin of chamomile blend she often claimed soothed anxiety. I set the mug before her silently. No speech. She lifted her gaze, eyes sunken. Smudged makeup. Hair pulled tightly, suggesting an attempt to maintain composure physically. She reached for the mug, whispering, "Thank you." I acknowledged with a nod. "You deserve tranquility," I responded softly, causing her to ponder whether it was pity or warning. It was neither. It was something detached. Empathy with an off switch. Upon returning home, she arrived more silently than usual, no car door slamming, no heel clicking on the driveway. Only a subtle, deliberate click of the front lock and the slow, hushed creak of the door, as if the wood itself was trying to be quiet tonight. She shared she was attending therapy, a revelation I hadn't known before. Her words echoed a challenge, as if seeking approval for this move. Her blouse was meticulously tucked, lipstick impeccably applied, a level of care that seemed unnecessary for a tearful session on a stranger's couch, costing $200 per hour. "It went fine," she said, avoiding eye contact. "Exhausting. You know," I replied, leafing through a car magazine without interest. "Are you hungry?" she responded negatively. "Tired instead." After a while, she ascended the stairs. Neither hurried nor leisurely, just cautious. I waited for about 10 minutes before joining her. Upon reaching the top step, I heard her open the bedroom door and pause. Absolute quietness ensued. I stood motionless in the hallway, like a shadow. The box now stood on her side of the bed, sealed tight, neatly placed atop the pillow like a coronet. She didn't utter a word, didn't touch it either. For an hour, she perched at the edge of the bed, her gaze fixed on it, one foot tapping subtly, hardly noticeable, except when her toes curled as if seeking purchase on the carpet. At one instance, she leaned forward, hovered her fingers over the lid, then drew back, as if it might burst or disclose a secret. Later, she opened it. I observed her in the reflection of the hallway mirror, carefully adjusted for the best view. Her movements were hesitant, uncertain if they were permitted. Inside was a flash drive, plain and black, labeled U. A printed map with GPS coordinates circled in red ink marked 3 specific locations, times, and the trail of her Lexus, meticulously logged. There was one photo, black and white, the edges slightly blurred but clearly showing her and a man on a bed. Her necklace, worn only on special occasions, was visible. A handwritten note followed. No typing or printing was used. The text was in my clean, blocky print. It read, "Pack within 3 days. Then submit, or we'll pretend this never happened. Your choice." She remained silent, unmoving, gripping that letter as if it was hazardous. Her breath shallow, lips pressed tight, reading it repeatedly, hoping the text would transform into something she could dismiss more easily. Her phone vibrated once on the nightstand, but she ignored it. The clock struck midnight, and the house became chillier. She stayed awake, huddled in a fetal position on her side, the box still open next to her, as if closing it would make its contents vanish. I remained beside her, refraining from speech or touch, allowing the weight of that box to convey its message. She didn't rest, and I had no need for it. From day one, she received roses vibrant red, the kind I once bought her after her open houses. Those were times when a successful sale meant takeout and movie night, not secret dinners with men who called her V, but didn't know her middle name. She arranged them in a crystal vase on the kitchen table, as if they were meant to be there, even in this desolate space where beauty seemed sparse. I prepared coffee. She lingered nearby. You prefer roses over honesty, she remarked softly, almost singing. I appreciate sincerity more, I retorted. She didn't respond with a smile. By noon, she was preparing soup from scratch, a ritual she once claimed was her solace when she felt overwhelmed. This time, though, the kitchen remained silent. No music played, no humming could be heard, only meticulous movements, as if crafting the perfect broth could erase her digital footprints. That night, she descended in silk, bare-chested. Her hair was styled how I liked it in another era. She touched my hand during dinner, then my knee. "Do you still love me?" she asked timidly, nibbling on her lower lip as if it held some power. I stared at her, neither with anger nor desire, but with a strange, detached empathy. "You should rest," I suggested, dabbing my mouth with a napkin. "You've had a tiring day." She did not weep. Inside her crumbled, silently and irreversibly, like a weakened floorboard yielding under polished shoes. On the second day, she adopted a pragmatic approach, attempted to act maturely, sitting opposite me at breakfast, and inquired, "Can we discuss?" Reminiscent of two business people negotiating a merger, we both nodded. She was given the floor to speak. Her intent was to restore the status quo. Perhaps a vacation was in order, or therapy, jointly this time. I nodded in agreement. "Feel free to arrange it. You have the time," she remarked, perplexed. "So you're open to the idea?" I responded. In the late afternoon, she scrutinized her accounts. All our shared funds. Transferred. Every credit line she co-signed for. Closed. Her stocks in the brokerage. Already divided, her mind paralyzed by caution, her own untouched and clearly visible to auditors. She attempted contacting her attorney. I became aware because I heard her shouting through the bathroom door. "You never mentioned a fidelity clause." Pause. "No, he brought it up." Tangible proof. She emerged with red eyes and an affected composure, much like a news anchor reporting on a flood while submerged up to her ankles. "You had thought this through," she stated, voice hushed. "For how long?" I replied calmly. "Long enough not to need to shout." 3 days. She fell silent, eerily so. She refrained from cooking, flirting, or lying. Instead, she wandered from room to room as if a stranger in her own life, lightly touching photograph frames and refolding already folded towels. She paused at our wedding photo for 5 minutes straight. Then she turned it face down. That evening, I returned from the hardware store. The house was pristine, still bearing vacuum tracks, bathroom counters cleaned, guest room bed neatly made. In our bedroom, the contrast was nearly poetic. Her side of the closet was vacant, drawers ajar, contents removed, suitcases by the door. Suddenly, she entered this marriage with nothing more, nothing less. On the bed, only one pillow remained, mine. She perched on the ledge with her suitcase tucked near her legs. "May I inquire about something?" she asked without meeting my gaze. I gave a nod. "Do you despise me?" After a brief pause, I responded, "No." She softly expelled a breath, perhaps relief or apprehension. I'd grown strong enough to voice the truth I'd long kept quiet. I switched off the light then. She lingered till the final hour. The dwelling was dark and still, only the refrigerator's hum and wall clock's tick echoed in the absence of the rhythm she claimed didn't harmonize with the decor. In the lounge room, I idly polished a wrench to keep my fingers busy, avoiding to fixate on the entrance door. It was a minor occupation that stopped me from dwelling on the front door. And then she emerged from the passageway. Bare-faced, disheveled, mere fragments of her, as exposed as she dared to be, clutching the box like an urn against her chest. Her eyes were bloodshot, sleepless, but for once not brash, nor triumphant, nor shielded by denial, just shattered. "Scott," she whispered, quivering voice. "I erred, I was foolish, I was insecure. Please." She believed she required more, but nope, she didn't interrupt. She carried on as if racing toward the end of something. I was bewildered. All right then, I felt neglected. I yearned to feel cherished, attractive, and you were always there, constant. I hadn't grasped the significance until I glimpsed what life without you entailed. She moved nearer. "I don't wish for this to end. You us. I'll attend counseling. I'll admit fault to everyone. I'll sign whatever is needed. Please don't let this be the finale. Her voice shattered like glass. I rose slowly, approached, studied the woman I had once structured my life around. She held the box tighter, as if it might guard her from the judgment in my silence. You declared, I started, that I was fortunate you allowed me to touch you. She stiffened. You said that as if it were kindness, I continued, stepping closer, our gazes locked. As if it were a privilege, a tear trickled down her cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Now, I spoke, maintaining composure, your name will only be handled with gloves from now on. Her legs trembled slightly. She pressed her lips together to muffle her sobs. Loud sobs that invite pity. I wasn't giving her that luxury. I opened the door. A cool, quiet night filled the space. Final. She remained stationary. I gestured towards the driveway. Your ride is waiting. She moved slowly, step by step, her dignity slipping away like dead skin. At the doorway, she halted. Do you mean nothing to me now? I stayed silent. I owed her no clarity, just closure. We stepped onto the porch. I closed the door behind us, locked it, not out of anger or contentment, with deliberation, a click that echoed like a tuned seal. I retraced my steps to the kitchen, poured the last of the coffee from the pot, sat at our connection begging table. Then I switched off my phone, placed it face down, and retired to bed. An empty pillow on her side. No warmth beside me, only breath, only quietness. Years' worth of slumber, the genuine one at last,